So we're just gonna get a clip, so I'm gonna just drag it here. It's imported. Gonna drag it to the timeline and just gonna select which part of the episode do I want to Twixtor. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna drag this whole scene, this dragon scene or whatever it is, this curse, this something. Okay, so we have our clip here. This is our clip, and so how am I gonna Twixtor this? Let's check it out. So first of all, I'm gonna pre-compose this and choose the second option and take the checkbox. Then I'm just gonna go into this and delete the dead frames. So what are dead frames? Dead frames are frames that have no movement in them. Again, I'm new to this, so correct me if I'm wrong. So according to me, dead frames are frames that have no movement in them. For example, as you can see, the first 3 frames here had no movement, so I'm just gonna take them, and yeah, so I'm just gonna split them up. Then again, so usually there's a pattern in clips, like after every 3 frames there is gonna be some movement. So yeah, so here after 2 frames there was movement, and here after 2 frames there was movement again, and then here 3 frames. So it's just gonna repeat this process. Here there was no movement, so I just split them up frame by frame. Yeah, okay, so this is just I want, this is all I want. Okay, so I just want to extract this. So here you can see it starts to kind of change. His movement starts to kind of change as if he's trying to bring something, and I don't want to include that. I just want to include the zooming out part. So once we have that, I'm just gonna select all my clips and drag them behind, so that each of the 3 frames that I cut up, or the 2 frames that I cut up, have now become one single frame. And what I'm gonna do is, then first I'll make sure that I have selected them from bottom to top, and then go to animation, then go to keyframe assistant and sequence layers. So like that I have my layers sequenced. Pretty obvious. Okay, so once I've done this, I'm just gonna pre-compose this, and I'm now gonna go to my plugin and look for the Twixtor Pro plugin. You can use any. I use a Twixtor Pro, and image prep is gonna be this one or the lower one. It really doesn't make a difference. This is gonna be 100, and yeah, that's it. So once I get into my real composition, now the real fun begins when you try to time remap this. So we're gonna go to time and enable time remapping. That's where the Twixtor comes in, and I'm just gonna look at where the clip ends. It ends here, so I'm gonna keyframe the time here, and let's just say I wanted to make this clip last this long. Okay, so the longer you want to stretch your clip, the harder it will be for the warpier your Twixtor will be, basically. Now what we'll do is make a graph like this, and this line, this middle line, shows that how static your clip is, meaning that how long do you want your clip to last on one single frame. Like as you can see, it first starts up very fast, and then it just stays on this clip for a long time, and then it starts to get warpier as it's trying to connect different frames in a larger time gap. So for example, if you want to reduce this, the warp is going to be less, and if you're gonna increase this, the warp is going to be more. So, and the longer you want your clip to be static on one single frame, for example like on this frame, the warpier it's gonna get. If you want to improve this, you can just make the movement faster, but be sure to make the curve so that it doesn't become like this, because what happens in this is that it just rewinds. See, as you can see, it just rewinds because the graph is going like through an S. It's just returning to the place where it came from. I hope I'm not complicating things, because I have studied deeply for this. Yeah, so this is how you can Twixtor. It's warpy here because the frames which I used were very less, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, like there were literally 8 frames, so that's why it's getting warpier, because as you have more clips of the same movement, you're gonna get a less warpier Twixtor. So yeah, so I hope this video helped you, and I just wanted to give some information that I learned from my experience. So I hope you enjoyed this first tutorial of After Effects, and yeah, I'll be seeing you in the next one.